Well, I remember one of the most interesting lessons that we had had. It was actually around this time of year. It was just before Christmas, exactly 2 years ago. It was my first Christmas in England. I was with a Mexican companion, and it was in that small university town that I had mentioned earlier. We didn't have anyone that we were teaching at that time, and so we were going and knocking doors. And that entire town is known throughout England for being a rougher neighborhood, and I didn't realize it at the time. Since looking back, I look on the internet and it's always listed as one of the places that has the highest violence and everything. So I don't know. Apparently, it was a pretty rough neighborhood, but we didn't know that, so it was okay. And we had decided to go to this neighborhood by the train tracks. And as we were knocking there, we weren't having any success at all. And we got to this one door, and there was an old man who opened it and escorted us right in. Now that was interesting. It didn't happen very often because he was English. And I think I could probably just count on one hand the number of times that an English family just let us into their home right away. It doesn't happen very often. The British tend to be pretty skeptical about religion in general. And so to have him let us in very naturally was a little bit of a surprise. Well, he let us into this very dark home. There was only a small fire that was burning in the fireplace. Everything was very shadowy, and there was a very strange feeling about the room. We came in, and there was this woman on a couch inside of the main room that just looked like death. She was white as a ghost, and we were both. It was one of those times where I was thankful I had a companion with me, because I thought, like, I almost feel like we're going to be harmed here. I don't know what's going on. Well, my companion was just this innocent Mexican who couldn't help but hide the fear that he was feeling on his face. And so they looked at us and they're like, well, what's wrong? And then the woman just looked at us and she said, you can tell something's wrong, can't you? And it turns out that her boyfriend, just a couple of days before, had jumped in front of a train. And since that time, she had, in her grief, gone to all sorts of less than wholesome sources, trying to resolve the grief and the fear and try to reverse the situation. It was an interesting environment to be in, but we were able to teach actually the plan of salvation. And we got out of there, and my companion said he didn't want us ever to go back, and he didn't know why we stayed as long as we did. But a part of me feels like it was what she needed at that time, as dark of a situation as it was. And it helped me to realize how much joy we inherently have in the gospel just by knowing a little bit more about God's plan for us. And as much of a dramatic and a little bit of a scary experience as that was, maybe we were led there in order to provide a little bit of more of a peace for that family at that time. I don't know.